Are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers having trouble bringing in a new offensive coordinator? That has been a question that has been on a good amount of Bucs fans' minds and even some of the media's minds as well. I saw my colleague Scott Reynolds of pewterreport.com write an article about this recently, and I've also seen a lot of your guys' comments talking about this topic as well, and it got me thinking, what if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are having trouble bringing in a new offensive coordinator? As of the recording of this video, they have interviewed around 10 candidates, even having one candidate flat out reject them in former Houston Texans offensive coordinator Pep Hamilton. The candidates that they have been interviewing have ranged in a variety of ways. We've seen guys with no offensive coordinator experience, guys with a lot of former offensive coordinator experience, and everything in between. And when I think about the Buccaneers situation, and to play pessimistic James here, there are reasons that could prevent the Bucs from luring in an offensive coordinator. First things first, Tom Brady's not on this team anymore. He's officially retired, submitted the paperwork and everything. That is 100% official. Tom Brady's not coming back. And that is something that is concerning because it creates a big question mark at the quarterback position. The only guy under contract right now is Kyle Trask. And while you could argue that an OC may enjoy the idea of bringing in his own quarterback and developing Kyle Trask and things along those lines, it also shows that there isn't a 100% guarantee at the position, at the most important position on the offensive side of the football. That would be really tough for an offensive coordinator to build up and to really work with coming into the building. You've also got to consider that the Buccaneers are in salary cap trouble right now. They're still $55 million over the cap, and they're going to have to make a lot of moves to get under the cap, to get cap compliant in the next month, before the new league year of March 15th. And there are a lot of different types of moves that they could do. Some of those moves involve moving on from players, possibly moving on from players like starting left tackle Donovan Smith, starting running back Leonard Fournette, third wide receiver Russell Gage, among others. So if you're an offensive coordinator and you come in, not only do you have a question mark at the starting quarterback position, but if certain roster moves are made to free up cap space, you now have a question mark at the starting left tackle position, possibly the starting running back position as well. Yes, you do have Rachaad White there, as well as significant depth question marks at the wide receiver position. Yes, you do have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but that's a lot of question marks at a lot of important positions on this roster. You've also got to consider offensive line depth. The Buccaneers have a lot of guys there who have expiring contracts as well. So whenever you take those factors, you also take in the fact that Todd Bowles, he doesn't necessarily have a ton of connections with the guys that he has been interviewing right now. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. In fact, I think that that is a pretty decent thing to see, but that is also a factor. How is an OC going to feel about working with Todd Bowles and his coaching staff coming into a relatively unknown situation with a lot of unknown factors right now? There are certainly reasons to be concerned if you are an offensive coordinator candidate. However, taking pessimistic James aside and thinking about this more optimistically, I think that there is still a lot of positive things for an OC here. You have young players in Cade Otton, Rachaad White. You've got Tristan Wirfs, who's the best right tackle in football right now. You're going to be getting Ryan Jensen back. You might have Robert Hainsey over at left guard finally now if everybody is healthy. You got Shaq Mason at right guard. 4 out of 5 of your offensive linemen are pretty darn good in my opinion. You then have the duo of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think that's still one of the best wide receiver duos in the league in my opinion. You've still got those young developmental guys, like I said, in Cade Otton, in Rachaad White, in Ko Keefe. You have some pieces, and you have a developmental quarterback in Kyle Trask as well. Whether or not you view him as the starting quarterback or not, whatever it may be, he's still a developmental guy who's still pretty young, all things considered, that you can work and build around. Or, again, if you flip on it on a positive end, you could bring in your own quarterback, be it through the draft or in free agency, a veteran quarterback, whoever that may be. Baker Mayfield, Jacoby Brissett, whoever the OC is comfortable with, that's a pretty significant amount of sway. And Todd Bowles, I imagine, isn't going to really force his hand too much on offensive moves, considering he's a defensive guy. Why would he? So I think the OC really would have a lot of reign to do what he would want to do for his system in this Buccaneers roster, which I feel is a positive thing for an OC candidate to have that freedom to not be bared down on by an offensive minded head coach. So when I look at it, do the Bucs have trouble bringing in an OC? Well, you could certainly come up with some reasons as to why that may be the case, but ultimately, I think this is more so an example of the Buccaneers just being thorough. Yes, they've interviewed 10 candidates. Yes, they've had Pep Hamilton reject them. Yes, Dan Pitcher is now out of the running. He is staying with Cincinnati, but that was more in part due to a contract extension than anything. And yes, they are taking their time a little bit in this search. But that's because the Buccaneers need to nail this hire. They need to. For Todd Bowles' sake, for this team's success sake, they have got to really hit on this next OC candidate. And yeah, of course they're going to take their time with that. It's what you do whenever you have to really put a lot of thought in a decision like this. So ultimately, we'll see what the Buccaneers end up doing, but are they having trouble bringing in their next offensive coordinator? I don't think so. I think that they are just being thorough, which is completely understandable whenever you do look at the circumstances. But what do you guys think? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear them down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.